Hey friends, Sean from SGT Report here. I'm going to try to be brief, but I'll probably be long-winded because there's a lot to cover. I'm going to try to move quickly because in my last video, I think there was 16 minutes of great content, and yet I bet after 7 or 8 minutes people didn't watch the rest, which was about spiritual warfare and the attack on humanity. So in this one, let's talk about the deep state coup against Donald Trump, because it's never been more evident that that is what's going on. Our friends at LaRouche write, "Stop Comey's FBI coup against Trump." And as I was reading this article, I received an email from a friend of SGT Report who wrote the following, and I want to share it with you here. He writes, "When will the deep state coup plotters be arrested and tried for their vast crimes against the American people?" I would like to know the same exact thing, because we know that CNN is nothing more than mockingbird mainstream media. We know that CNN represents only State Department and DNC talking points, which is lies. And we know that, according to this email, the deep state coup plotters, including the Democratic Party, organized left, GOP establishment, the mainstream media, and the Silicon Valley government-protected tech monopolies, and Wall Street itself, are going for broke and are going to remove our duly elected president in a grotesquely illegal and farcically evidence-free coup unless the American people rise up and tell them, hell no, and do so now. This has nothing to do with Russia. It has nothing to do with Mr. Trump other than that he has given voice to and seeking to provide leadership to a broad movement of sentiment and belief on the part of the American people who want to restore our constitutional republic, and I would add rule of law, and our inalienable rights and freedoms. The globalist financial elites, think Soros, Rockefeller, Rothschild, who control and own the deep state, their stooges, agents, and operatives are in a mad panic because they clearly believe that if they do not remove Mr. Trump from office, and if they don't do it now, and if they do not completely obliterate and destroy the American liberty movement, and do so now, the entire deep state and their globalist financial elite owners and puppet masters will be brought to justice for their vast and unspeakably evil crimes against the American people and the peoples of the world. And their entire grid of deception and control will be dismantled and replaced by human-centered, humane systems that support, rather than violate, the inalienable rights of each individual, family, and local community. See, we reject Agenda 2030. We reject the CFR and the talking points that want to enslave humanity in favor of globalist corporations, multinationals. It is time for the good, moral, and honorable men and women in the system, of whom there are countless numbers, though they have long had no control over the ultimate decision-making of what is now an entirely malignant and implacably hostile corporate and banking-owned government, and for the people themselves to put a stop to all of this, and to do so peacefully and lawfully. And all of you that say Trump is just a puppet, I defy you to watch just 2 hours of CNN's propagandist programming to realize that the enemies of humanity, the deep state, are aligned against Trump just as they are aligned against you and I. Consider the following real-time evidence that a coup is in process. And this email goes on to cite, "Stop Trump from pulling a Saturday night massacre over the Russian probe." Of course, this comes from The Hill, which is just more insanity and propaganda about Mueller doing his job and investigating Trump for obstruction of justice, which is nothing more than a straw man, as we have established at SGT Report time and time again, most recently with my guest, investigative journalist Liz Crokin.
Why are they trying to get this democratically elected president impeached? The answer is pedogate. The answer is sex trafficking. President Trump is the first president in the history of the United States that has vowed to go after not only pedophiles, but the elite pedophiles. The world is run by elite pedophiles.
And this from Politico. Rosenstein friends say he won't be influenced by Trump tweets. Trump what? Saying, oh, it's a witch hunt? Because it is. And how about this one from CNN? Robert Mueller expands special counsel office, hires 13 lawyers. Where are the lawyers that will investigate Loretta Lynch's provable and now quantifiable obstruction of justice based solely on James Comey's own testimony?
Probably the only other consideration that I guess I can talk about in an open setting is that at one point the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter, which confused me and concerned me.
That she influenced him and pulled him back from an investigation of Hillary Clinton's crimes. CNN won't talk about that. And then there's this one from Lou Dobbs. The deep state operatives are attempting a coup d'etat. Here's Doug Weed to explain.
Here they go. Let's see if we can do this in America. And it looks like a coup d'etat. I don't know how else you can explain it. We had Comey say, no, the New York Times story was totally false. Well, that's driven the narrative for several months now.
Yeah.
None of the networks are saying, hey, we're sorry, back up, forget what we told you the last few months. It was based on false information. There's no retraction, no going back.
Yeah, they won't. Of course they won't, because they specialize in telling lies about their enemies, right? What does the Bible say? What do the Ten Commandments say? Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. But that's what CNN, the State Department, MSNBC, the Wall Street Journal, Bezos' blog, the Washington Post, that's exactly what they specialize in. They specialize in character assassination, fabrication, and omission of truth. They specialize in bearing false witness against their neighbor, be they the neighbor, the president in the White House, or you, or me, or any of us in the alt media. It's what they do. It's what the deep state does. They're liars because they worship the father of lies. But let's return to that email from my friend who writes, the good Mr. Mueller is a multi-generational deep state operative. His great-uncle was the grotesquely evil Mr. Richard Bissell, who, as a senior Wall Street operative and agent of the globalist financial elites, was tasked with putting in place the brazenly illegal covert operational structure in the newly formed CIA with the Orwellian name of the Dictatorate of Plans. Of course, the CIA was founded by the banking elites as their private paramilitary, able to conceal and protect the banking elite's vast and unspeakable evil crimes against the American people and humanity under the pretext and guise of national security. By the way, this is spot on because you'll recall that John J. McCloy, the president of the World Bank, was placed on the Warren Commission itself to investigate the assassination of our dear President JFK. Funny, this piece goes on to say, and of course the intelligence agencies have never been even remotely under the control of the constitutional government in any way, as John F. Kennedy found out on 12:25 p.m. in the afternoon in front of the eyes of the world on Friday, November 22, 1963 in Dallas, Texas. Mueller and the good Mr. Comey recently collaborated on Mr. Comey's testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee. Note that the House and Senate Intelligence Committees and the Gang of Eight purportedly exercising, quote, oversight over intelligence operations all appear to be fantastically corrupt and compromised deep state operatives and stooges, which one would expect given the criminality and evil of the deep state black hats in the intelligence community and their globalist financial elite puppet masters. Again, what does Trump want? He wants a dialogue with Putin. What does the deep state want? It wants war with Putin and Russia. And dear friends of SGT Report, you should know that Mr. Mueller was also a key player in covering up the roles of elements of the U.S. government and one of our best allies in the planning, execution, and cover-up of 9/11, and Mr. Mueller and Mr. Comey were central in the cover-up of the U.S. government false flag of the anthrax letters shortly after 9/11. My friends, if you don't know, the anthrax was military-grade anthrax, and its source was Fort Detrick, a U.S. military facility. In that deep state false flag operation, senior U.S. senators and news anchors who had voices that might have stopped the despotic and unconstitutional Patriot Act, which had been written years before, just waiting for the right moment to be introduced in Congress, received in the mail hitherto unknown incredibly sophisticated strains of weaponized anthrax from secret U.S. bioweapons labs. Again, Fort Detrick. If you don't know that, my friends, research it. The false flag operation that was 9/11 and our best allies that helped in the planning, I believe this email is referring to the Israelis and the Mossad, But it goes on to conclude Mr. Mueller and Mr. Comey appear to be the designated deep state operatives assigned the role of covering up the false flag nature of the anthrax letter operation. These are the same people we've seen time and time again sell out our nation, sell out rule of law, sell out everything that we hold precious and dear in the name of the deep state, the secretive deep state that runs the United States. At the end of the day, my friends, regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, intellectual honesty must compel you to draw the conclusion that the same apparatus aligned against Donald Trump, which includes elements of the alphabet agencies and the mainstream media it controls, are the same enemies of you, your family, and our way of life, and our very future. It's time to stand up. It's time to speak truth. And it's time to throw off these despots before they put you, your family, and future generations in chains that will never be broken. Thanks for watching, and for real news 24/7, visit us at sgtreport.com.
You know, the representative that was shot, his name is Scalise. He is part of the movement to expose sex trafficking. He just posted a YouTube video a few days ago addressing sex trafficking. This is not a coincidence.